The Kite Runner by Khaled Hosseini. A story of friendship, betrayal, loyalty, irony and redemption, author Khaled Hosseini's debut novel takes the reader on a journey from Afghanistan to America and back. The protagonist, Amir, begins the narrative with the opening scene of himself as a grown man, walking along a lake in a park overlooking the city of San Francisco. A pair of red kites with long blue tails are soaring in the sky like a pair of eyes, like his past looking down on him, a past that he had tried so hard to bury but had been lurking in the shadows for the past 26 years of his life. Looking at the kites, he could hear Hassan's voice whisper in his head, "For you 1,000 times over." Chapter 1 sets a tone for the rest of the novel, introducing many key themes and concepts to entice the reader. Amir had received a phone call from his father's friend, Rahim Khan, who lived in Pakistan, asking him to come and visit, saying, "There is a way to be good again." Amir decided that he became the man he was today because of an event that was forever etched into his memory that occurred on a cold, overcast day in the winter of 1975 when he was aged 12. Amir tells of his childhood growing up in the Wazir Akbar Khan district of Kabul, an affluent area in the northern part of Kabul where he lived with his father Baba in a sprawling two-story house. At the end of the garden was a modest mud hut where their Hazara servants, Ali and his son Hassan, lived. Amir's mother died giving birth to him, and Hassan's mother had left shortly after Hassan was born. Amir and Hassan were of similar age and became best friends, but at the end of the day, Hassan returned to the sparse little mud hut. Every morning, Ali and Hassan would ensure that Amir was ready for school. When Amir returned from school, he and Hassan would play together, and sometimes Amir would read stories to Hassan, even making up stories along the way. Hassan's loyalty to Amir was unwavering, doing anything Amir asked of him. Although the two boys were friends, there was always the divide of class. Amir was a Pashtun and Hassan was a Hazara. Amir lived in the mansion, Hassan in the mud hut. Amir went to school and Hassan couldn't read. Amir looked up to his father and was very proud of him and was desperate for his approval. He often felt slightly jealous of the way his father treated Hassan, almost like a son. Amir liked books and poetry and felt that his father did not value this as much as sport. He had overheard his father commenting to Rahim Khan that if he had not seen Amir come into the world with his own two eyes, he would have questioned if he were his son. The boys grew tired of listening to stories on the radio following the fall of the Afghanistan monarchy on July 17, 1973, and decided to climb the hill to the cemetery. Along the way, they bumped into a local boy, Asef, and his gang. Asef had a great dislike for Hazara people and people who treated Hazaras with respect. Asef donned his brass knuckles to punch Amir, but Hassan stood in the way with his slingshot aimed at Asef's eye. Asef backed down but warned Amir that one day he would have to face him one-on-one. Life continued as usual, and in the winter of 1974, Baba's birthday present to Hassan was plastic surgery to fix the hair lip he had been born with. Each winter, the Kabul districts held kite fighting tournaments. In 1975, it was held in the district where Amir lived. The two boys were very excited and tried making their own kites. They soon realised, however, that they were better at flying kites than making them, so they bought two kites instead. Flying kites was the one thing that Amir and his father had in common, and he saw this as a way to gain his father's respect. He desperately wanted to win the tournament to make his father proud. When a kite was cut down, the kite runner would run to get the fallen kite. The most prestigious kite to run for was the one that fell last. Hassan was an excellent kite runner, and when Amir and Hassan managed to cut the last kite, Hassan began to run to get to it. Winning gave Amir his single greatest moment of his life, gaining his father's respect. However, it was short-lived. After catching up with Hassan to bring back the fallen kite, Amir found Hassan cornered in the alleyway by Asef and his two friends, demanding he hand over the fallen blue kite. Ever loyal, Hassan refused, so Asef raped him. Amir witnessed this event and likened it to the slaughtering of a lamb. Amir wanted to protect Hassan but was fearful and ended up running away, pretending that he had not seen anything. After the event, Hassan tried to rebuild their friendship, but Amir's guilt prevented this. Hassan was a constant reminder of his own weakness. Baba held a huge party for Amir's 13th birthday, with over 400 people attending. Asef and his parents were also guests. Amir felt uncomfortable as Asef made polite conversation in front of Baba and handed Amir a book as his present. Amir had received a bike and watch from his father, but disliked all his presents with the exception of the leather-bound notebook he had received from Rahim Khan. As Hassan was a constant reminder to Amir of his inadequacies, he decided that Hassan should leave. Amir took money and his watch and hid them under Hassan's mattress. Amir told his father that some of his presents were missing, which was subsequently found in Hassan's possession. Much to Amir's surprise, Hassan admitted to the theft, yet again defending Amir. Following Hassan's admittance to the theft, Amir's father did something even more surprising to Amir. He forgave Hassan. Baba had always told Amir, theft was the one unforgivable sin, the common denominator of all sins. When you kill a man, you steal a life. You steal his wife's right to a husband, rob his children of a father. When you tell a lie, you steal someone's right to the truth. When you cheat, you steal the right to fairness. There is no act more wretched than stealing. But Hassan's father had already decided that they must leave. In March of 1981, when Amir was 18, he and his father fled Kabul as refugees, travelling through the Khyber Pass into Peshawar, Pakistan, bound for America. Amir completed high school at the age of 20, and his father was very proud. Driving home after celebrating, Baba handed over the keys to a car as a graduating gift. Amir was overjoyed, but Baba said that he wished Hassan was there also. These words made Amir feel like two still hands had clasped around his neck. After high school, Amir studied English at university so he could become a writer. During this time, Baba bought a small bus so he and Amir could explore garage sales, buying items to resell at the Sunday markets for a profit. It was at the market that Amir met Soraya, whom he married. Soraya and Amir lived with Baba, who was dying of cancer. Baba had never encouraged Amir with his writing, but one day he came home to see Soraya reading his writings from the leather-bound book that Rahim Khan gave him for his 13th birthday. Amir was overwhelmed with emotion and left the room in tears, realizing that Baba was in fact proud of him. After Baba passed away, Amir received a typewriter from his father-in-law and did security work and lived in a one-bedroom apartment with Soraya. Amir graduated university and found success as a writer, while Soraya became a teacher. Although they tried, Amir and Soraya were unable to have children. In 2001, Amir received a phone call from Rahim Khan telling him there is a way to be good again. This resulted in all his childhood memories flooding back, which he had tried so hard to bury. Amir took a flight to Peshawar and met up with Rahim Khan, where they shared stories of the last 20 years apart. During the last 20 years, Rahim Khan and Hassan had lived in the house that Amir and his father had fled. Hassan had learned to read, was married and had a son, Sorab. They would fly and run kites, hanging them on the wall like trophies. When the Taliban came into power, kite flying tournaments were banned. They killed the Hazaras, including Hassan and his wife, leaving Sorab in an orphanage. Rahim Khan suggested to Amir that he get Sorab and return with him to Pakistan. Amir did not want to go, as he was afraid. Rahim Khan reminded Amir of Baba's words, "A boy who won't stand up for himself becomes a man who won't stand up to anything." Rahim Khan then tells Amir that Hassan is actually his half-brother. Amir is upset, realizing that both Rahim Khan and Baba had committed the greatest of sins, telling a lie. Amir reflected on this. It all made sense as to why Baba would treat the two boys as equally as he had. Baba carried this lie to his grave, making Amir realize he and his father were more alike than he had ever imagined. Amir knew he had to go to Afghanistan. He had to atone for both his own and his father's sins. He had to fight this battle. Kabul had changed in the years since Amir left. He felt like a tourist in his own country. He saw poverty, rubble and beggars everywhere. As Amir drove through Kabul with his driver Farid, he reminisced about the city he had left and was horrified at the destruction. He visited his old house before climbing the hill to the cemetery and saw the carving Amir and Hassan, the Sultans of Kabul, on the pomegranate tree. After finding the orphanage where Sorab had lived, they were told that Sorab had been taken by the Taliban a month prior. The director told Amir that the Taliban man who had taken Sorab could be found at the stadium. Amir went to the stadium and organised a meeting with him for 3 o'clock that afternoon at his house. Shortly after arriving at the house, Amir discovered the Taliban man was none other than Asif, but this time he could not run. Amir offered money for Sorab, but Asif refused. As they battled it out with their fists, Sorab demonstrated the same skillful expertise with his slingshot as his father Hassan and fired a metal ball straight into Asif's eye socket, allowing them to escape. Amir suffered several injuries and ironically a cut lip that looked very much like the hair lip Hassan had. Amir and Soraya wanted to look after Sorab and finally gained his trust. Amir told Sorab they needed to go to the orphanage to complete paperwork so that he could go with him to America, but Sorab feared returning to the orphanage and attempted suicide. Amir found Sorab in the bath, the water stained by his blood. Amir then realised how much Sorab meant to him. Sorab survived and went to America, but did not speak for a long time. He was withdrawn, but